we've got 2.5 months of this year yet to run, but a record number of people have already been killed in dog attacks this year, prompting calls for more breeds to be banned and a crackdown on ownership laws.
Since January, 9 people have been killed in dog attacks in the UK, and none of those attacks were by dog breeds which are on the banned list. They include 4 deaths involving American Bully XLs.
Well, last year, 3,272 people needed reconstructive surgery after they'd been mauled by a dog, with 419 of those cases involving children aged 4 or under.
And almost 9,000 people needed hospital treatment for dog bites. That's up 18% on the previous year.
So, as I say, with a record number of UK people killed by dogs this year, never so many before, is it time to bring in tougher laws and ban more dangerous dogs? Well, joining us now is vet Charlie Gray. He says that banning dog breeds just won't solve the problem.
She says.
I'm so sorry, she. And journalist Johnny Seifert, who thinks that if banning a breed can save a life, then we should do it. Charlie, I'm sorry about that. Let's start with you. Look, let's have another look at this picture of this American Bully XL. Now, this breed killed 4 people here this year. It's the top killer. If it had been banned, then those 4 people might still be alive today, mightn't they?
That's one way to look at it, but at the minute, if we go back and look at all the statistics since that dangerous dogs law was changed to ban those 4 breeds, the number of deaths has increased, not decreased. So we had, just 15 before in the 10 years up to 1991, and actually then in the 10 years between 2002 and 2012 there were 39, and obviously we're up to 6 this year. So I think the fact is that whilst we're discussing banning another breed to solve the problem, it seems like we're trying to add to a piece of legislation that didn't work in the first place. And I'm sure we'll go on to talk about it, but a lot of my issue here is that it's not the dogs that are causing the problem. It's the people that are breeding these dogs to have deliberately challenging temperaments. And I think actually the increase this year is more to do with COVID and the fact that we've got a lot of unsocialized dogs. We had people impulse buying dogs who perhaps could have chosen better breeds or shouldn't have had a dog at all.
Charlie, I wonder if you can... I know that you own a Rottweiler, don't you?
Yes.
A Rottweiler is implicated in one of these fatalities. You're a vet, you're a responsible dog owner. But can you just describe what is a Rottweiler like? What is an American Bully XL like? Because both of those dogs are pretty fearsome looking.
Yeah, they look scary. We've got Alan. I've got a Rottweiler called Alan who's currently just motoring around, so he can always come over and see us. But the majority of Rottweilers and American Bully XLs that I see at the vets are lovely. And I think we've got to be reasonable and say it's not as simple as deed versus breed, which is what you tend to get on social media, because you do have to be aware that you're dealing with a dog that is potentially stronger than you are. So you do have to be sensible about the way you breed them, the way you raise them. And breeding and raising these dogs to be fighting and roughhousing and messing around with your kids isn't sensible. But the majority of these dogs are wonderful family pets if they're handled sensibly. And I think Alan's a good example of that. Alan. He's not going to come and see me, is he?
Camera shy.
But Charlie, we've heard over and over again over the years. We've heard of these dogs which have been perfectly well behaved, perfectly well trained. They suddenly can flip, and when that happens, they are killing machines. Why would somebody want to have a dog which is potentially a human killer?
I think the error there is that people are assuming these dogs are coming out of nowhere. And I think what's going on is there's a serious lack of understanding of dog behaviour, and people are missing the warning signs here. People, even in the vets, I'll get people tell me that they'll say, oh, it's all right, that dog won't bite. And actually, I can see that that dog is stressed, that dog is worried. And Instagram and Facebook are full of adults with kids laying on, pulling their dogs around. And that is the problem, is that we don't know how to behave around dogs, and we don't know how to interpret their behaviour. These attacks are not generally unpredictable. And I had a look at some of the attacks over the last sort of 20 years. They include things like husky dragging baby from table whilst owners were upstairs asleep, baby alone in caravan while parents went out for a drink, accidentally let the dog in when the baby was on the floor well after 10 cannabis joints and 2 bottles of wine, and owners never exercising dogs, dog had never been out of house, comments like that. And I think, I counted up the number. 14 of the 56 attacks in a 10-year 10-year interval were unattended children. And I cannot understand there's a serious lack of education where you leave a 3-month-old baby in a stressful situation with a new dog.
OK. Let's talk to Johnny. Does any of this reassure you, Johnny? Because I know that you have a fear of dogs. I think particularly Rottweilers, which is Charlie's pet.
Yeah, sorry, Charlie. I will. If I see you in the street with your Rottweiler, I'm crossing the road, even if you do say it is safe. I'm petrified of dogs, absolutely petrified. And it's all well and good thinking that the owner knows what to do with the dog. But what happens when they're not there? Let's say, Charlie, you're walking with your Rottweiler and your other dogs down the road, and one dog goes off one way and your Rottweiler goes the other way. You don't know how that Rottweiler is going to react to me because I'm petrified. I'll be jumping in that tree, and therefore it will get scared. And the dog will act out, and therefore you can't control that. And that's the problem with these dogs. These scary, scary, scary dogs, you can't control in those situations because you don't know how I'm going to.
I think the reality is that I understand that, and I think the practicality is if you're going to have a dog like a Rottweiler or an American Bull Terrier, we have to be careful and understand that people are afraid and that situations may arise where they are likely to be afraid in response.
The problem is that a lot of the time, you will say, do you know what, my dog won't do anything to me. It's fine, it's friendly, it just wants to be friendly with you, just pat it. I can't do that. I'm not going to pat your dog, no offence. I can't go near it. And therefore, you saying to me it's going to be okay isn't okay. It's not okay. And
the point is that it's
they say that the dog is more harm than I am.
Johnny, is there anything that you heard Charlie say at the beginning of that actually banning breeds actually makes the problem worse? Is there anything that she said there that made you change your mind at all?
It's definitely about the education of owners. I think that's a big thing. Obviously, with COVID, a lot of people bought dogs. They weren't just for Christmas. And therefore, because a lot of people bought dogs, they thought, oh, it's going to be OK. We're just going to be with ourselves. They didn't get any training. And that is the biggest problem, is that they don't know how to deal with their dogs in certain situations. And if they knew how to control their dogs, rather than just letting them off licks, there's places like Hampstead Heath in London I cannot go near. I'm petrified of that part because all the big dogs are off their leash. They're all running around. The owners don't know how to control them in those situations. And that's what I think needs to happen.
To some extent, we are going to end up on the same page on that, because for me, I think that the issue here is with the legislation and the way that particular legislation works, because it hasn't solved the problem, and I don't think adding anybody to it is going to change that in any way. But I agree that the lack of education and the lack of understanding that owners have of their own dogs is the issue here. And my Rottweiler would not be off lead if he did not have a reliable recall. And I think that's the issue, is that more people should be making sure if they own a dog that is likely to unnerve or frighten somebody else, that they should be able to control that dog. And,
you're a vet, you know how to look after your dog. A lot of people don't. A lot of people think, like I said, the dog is their best friend. And think of it like this, right? Snakes, rats, spiders. People are scared of snakes, rats and spiders. If you said that list can ever go, you'll be more scared. But because it's a dog, we're supposed to think, oh, do you know what? It's okay, it's a dog. No. Dogs, snakes,
we have to leave it there, Johnny. And Charlie, I'm so sorry. We do have to leave it there because it's 8 o'clock and we need to just get up to date with the headlines. But just to point out, it is already illegal for a dog to be out of control. So that is already enshrined in law. And as we've pointed out, the fatal attacks this year are dogs which aren't on the banned list.
None of them are on the banned list, not one of them.
So, it's a balance, isn't it? Is it the dog or is it the owner which is allowing it to get dangerously out of control?
Well, it's the owner, isn't it? Ultimately, it's the owner and it's the breeders who selectively breed these creatures to be more and more aggressive.